Hey everyone, it's Blue Lizard Jello and welcome back to Everything Possible in the Surge 2. Last time we embarked on the adventure proper, heading into Jericho downtown here in just a moment. We did take out Warden Garcia, but we did get a message from a Brother Truman waiting for us just apparently on the other side of this door. Now, keep in mind, the first few episodes are going to be a little bit slow simply because I will also be explaining the mechanics of the game, but once we get past all these, action will be ramped up to 11 and will progress a lot faster. But we can see some of these tags along the wall. We'll be discussing some of the online mechanics in today's episode, but let's head down into Jericho downtown.
You took the lift after all. At last, we meet in the flesh.
So here we have Brother Truman waiting to speak to us, but also if you did get the pre-order DLC, we will get a few bits of DLC content. We have the lootscan.exe radar, we got a quest item, and that quest item is just going to talk about loot that we can get later on. Let's take a quick look at that. So here in our log, here is the quest item: warning, urban scavengers, an urgent alert to all survivors in Jericho City. As conditions in Jericho City have worsened, scavengers and outlaws have taken control of many areas of the city. Their leaders are particularly dangerous due to their ruthless nature and exceptional equipment. Survivors are advised to avoid the so-called Scav Kings at all costs. They can be identified by their brightly colored and highly durable urban battle gear, as well as their modified military axe weapons. We'll be picking up the urban gear quite a bit later on, but one of the items that we did get that we can use right away is the lootscan.exe radar drone module. Using this causes no omnicell consumption, but it allows us to see what loot is nearby. And I will show this off a little bit, but then I'll be not using it simply because, well, it can get old kind of fast, but it's useful, especially in the early areas. But let's head over and talk to Brother Truman.
There's a fire burning in your eyes, Acolyte. I haven't seen anything like it in a long time. The city is dying. The court is our last safe haven. Join my brethren and take back control. It's now or never. I can see your confusion. You must have been locked away for a long time. You'll be in for a rude awakening. The world has changed in a heartbeat. I'd explain more, but it's best to witness the new order with your own eyes. You're staring at Jericho City, Acolyte. At least what's left of it. I belong to the Children of the Spark, a small but growing church dedicated to a great cause. We're always on the lookout for recruits like yourself. Someone willing to get their hands dirty for the greater good. Journey forth and find the court, where our prophet, Brother Eli, will welcome you with open arms. See that giant octopus? Right under its tentacles, you'll find safe shelter. You must have been in there for a very long time indeed. You'll see the awful truth soon enough. Anarchy reigns supreme on our streets. People fear the new dawn that's upon us. The government built a wall around us to hold back the inevitable. They reject the change that comes with the nanite swarm. This plague is not what it seems. Humanity is ascending. We are the progenitors of a new race.
It seems that Brother Truman may be embracing the nanite swarm. In fact, if you take a look, he has been surgically altered. Unlike our exo-rig, which was simply just fused to our bodies, he has certainly undergone some extreme body modification.
Brother Eli will reveal your destiny.
Now we need to meet Brother Eli at the Seaside Court, which is going to be directly under that octopus right there. And as we try to descend the stairs, it's prompting us to look up at the sky where a very large, what appears to be nanite swarm has gathered over the Great Wall. Walking into the maglift and descending, we can see a little bit of loot right there. This took me, sadly, far too long in order to realize how to get it, because you just need to walk next to the maglift and head up top to grab your small pile of metal scrap worth 100 tech scrap, and then again hug the wall to walk right past it. Now in here we have a med bay. We do have another NPC, but as this graffiti tag is pointing out, there is a little bit of loot to be had right back here. Under this box we have some arm gear coils, good for upgrading some armor. Now let's talk to this interesting stranger, which, let's just take a look at him. So an unfamiliar weapon. The armor doesn't look like anything I've seen before, but if I look kind of appears to be wearing a blue jumpsuit that I've seen before.
Didn't strike first, huh? Wise choice. Although these days I wouldn't blame you. There aren't a lot of good people around Jericho these days. Can't help but wonder whose side you're on. You'll be one of the dead guys soon if you don't upgrade your pitiful equipment. Trust me, I know my stuff. Where you been all your life? It's survival of the fittest out here. If you get in a fight, the winner takes all. See that med bay right next to me? This is where you take your spoils to craft and upgrade equipment. Maybe you should give it a try. Here, take these parts and give it a go. Beats me. I should have been smart enough to leave when there was still time, but I got inconvenienced. Helping people is kind of what I do. Besides, I still have some unfinished business here. Let's leave it at that. Just like you then. Let's be glad we got out in time and keep it at that. I've been to a lot of hellholes lately, but this one wins hands down. I might tell you one of these days, if you live long enough.
I won't be spoiling anything about this mysterious stranger, but if you give it some thought and you pay attention to the voice, you'll probably be able to figure it out. Now, the stranger did just give us some materials that we can use to craft new armor or upgrade our existing armor, and that's exactly what we're going to do here at this medbay. As we step inside, it is going to give us a tutorial about constructing and upgrading here in a moment, but I do want to use all of the metal scrap that I have, which is an extra 400. I'm not going to worry about leveling up at this time, but I do want to construct some equipment, especially the arm, which actually is right now the only schematic that I have available. But as the tutorial mentions here, one of the cool new features is the ability to break down components into lesser components at a rate of 1 to 2, which means for every one higher level component I disassemble, I can get 2 in its place. Really good for upgrading more armor and more weapons down the line. So the AID Nightfall arm gear that we got from Warden Garcia, I do have enough to craft 2 of them. As you can see in the bottom left corner, it requires 404 scrap and 2 of the arm coils for each. Now I'm going to craft 2 of these, even though right now, because of my core power, I'm only going to be able to use 1, but more on that here in a second. Here's some information about upgrading. One of the biggest changes here in the Surge 2 is the ability to improve your implants themselves. But right now it does take a material that we don't have. Also, take note that on any given item, if there is one of these wrench icons, it means you have enough scrap and material in order to improve it. I've decided that currently I'm going to be upgrading the MG Jackknife Pro simply because it goes from 82 damage all the way to 95, which is not a bad deal. But that's all the upgrading that we're going to do for now. Now inside this station there are a couple of other shortcuts, but it's going to take a little while for us to get there. Over here does say that we can interact, but we don't have the lifter hook, which is what the mysterious stranger just used to get up to the rooftops. We'll be getting that, but it's going to be a bit. Over here is a little map. You can zoom in. Now one thing that I find interesting is Interstate 91. I actually know this interstate because I grew up just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and Interstate 91 runs for about 290 miles directly north-south in New England, all the way from the top of Vermont to the bottom of Connecticut. So I'm not sure where this is supposed to be taking place, but I guess it's somewhere in New England. As we approach here, there's going to be some more tutorials. Target and cut armored parts to get the schematics. That's exactly what we want to start working on right now. So as we start to highlight the different body parts, his head is unarmored, body is armored, his left arm is armored, but his right arm is not. His left leg is unarmored, but his right leg is. I'm going to go for the body, go for a backstab, get some good damage before he even gets up. Now there's a block, but I didn't have enough stamina to absorb it. There was the block, but no deflection, and there's the cut. And this is going to give me the schematic for the scavenger's body gear. Now this is a schematic, it's not the body gear itself, so I do have to craft this if I want to use it. Now the scavenger armor with the partial set, which is 3 pieces, would give me an increase in damage after a backstab, and the full set gives me HP or health back after completing a finishing move. Up here in these stairs, you can see over there, nothing we can do in that door, but I do have just a little bit of scrap here. Otherwise, no shortcuts for us. And why don't we switch to the loot scan module for our drone. So as I use this, you can see that it actually highlights some loot out in the distance, and it'll even tell you what it is. So that toxic filter implant, we'll be picking that up a little bit later. We have to get a shortcut first. And let's listen to this audio log while I kill the next enemy.
Welcome to Jericho City. Exploring our sprawling downtown can be a bit intimidating at first. There's always something fun going on wherever you go. You'll find street musicians, artists, newcomers, tourists, families, couples, wallflowers, the poor and the rich. In Jericho, we live together in harmony and respect each other's boundaries. So take a deep breath and enjoy the sights. And if you can't find your way, why not ask one of our friendly locals?
Well, during that audio log, I decapitated this enemy and I got a bunch of loot for it. So I did get the new implant, the ancillary core. This is an ancillary core that actually gives me 5 to my core power, which is going to help immensely. I also got the schematic for the scavenger's headgear that goes along with the chest piece that we just got just a moment ago. Now, one thing I forgot to do was actually equip my arm here, and it's telling me that I can't use it because I don't have enough core power. But if I take one of these that I don't currently need, which the automatic inject charger, while it's nice, it's not necessary. I can even replace it with the ancillary core, and that gives me a total of 17, which means I can go over to my arm slots and I can equip both of those arms. So it's not enough for a set bonus, but I do get a good bit of defense out of it. Over here we have some more scrap laying on the ground. Now we have this enemy that we can get a backstab on, but this enemy is going to see us before that happens, so let's just pull him back first. Also, just for fun, I am going to use one of my metavoltaics. Now, a quick note about anyone that's unarmored, I always like to go for the weapon hand because at least I'll be able to get some tungsten alloy and I'll be able to use that to craft or upgrade more weapons. There's a good deflection. Oh, and I got the kill instead of getting the cut. That's alright. That is the price you pay, especially once you start to upgrade your weapon. So let's see, with this one, let's go for the leg. Keep going for that full set of the scavenger set. Back up. Let's go for a slide attack. There's the cut option. And there it is, a schematic for the scavenger's leg. Good deflection there. And let's do a dash attack on him, start working on that arm some more. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get the cut before we get the kill. And that's alright. We'll have plenty of opportunities to get that. The problem with upgrading really good weapons early on is that the enemies simply aren't powerful enough to survive all the attacks. Oh, we want to make sure that we're not wasting this battery, so I'm going to store a couple of pre-charges here. There we are. So if you're getting the kill before you're getting the cut, you may want to consider going down to a weaker weapon. Over here we do have the very first shortcut back to the medbay. And right behind that car we have an enemy with a brand new weapon type, so we're going to focus on his weapon arm. Be very careful here because we don't want him to throw a Molotov cocktail at us, which is something he certainly can do. And there it is. Just get the dodge. Good damage on the arm. There's a deflection. I don't actually want to follow it up with a counter. I would rather go for the dismemberment. There we are. And here we get the schematic for their arm, which is one we needed, but we also get his weapon. And that is the bootleg fire starter. Let's take a quick look at the fire starter. 72 damage, 24 impact, 100% attack speed, 80% energy gain, 105% stamina consumption, but it also has fire damage, so anything weak to fire is going to take bonus damage because of that elemental effect. And this is a single rigged weapon, and I really enjoy the single rigged weapons. Enemy here who has nothing to offer, so I'm just going to get some quick kills on him. Not even going to worry about getting a cut. Another enemy up top here. Now this is where the loot scan drone module can actually really come in handy, because if I use it right here, it tells me that there's some loot inside the shipping container and I can't get to it, which means there is another way around. Let's switch over to our laser pistol, because I want to pull this enemy right here. He has yet another weapon that I want. Now I'm just going to pull back, let him start walking towards me. Now the enemy with the equalizer is also coming, but I can pull him aside. There we are. There is the cut already. Perfect. That's what I was hoping for. Grab that while we watch out for this enemy. And there's the Clinge Velosaw. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. Let's go for this guy's head though. Get some more upgrade materials. Sometimes best not to go for that counter because I don't want the bonus damage. And perfect on the dismemberment. And here we get another battery charge, although it's not going to do me a whole lot of good. So we got the Clinge Velosaw one-handed, 79 damage, 19 impact, 90% attack speed, 30% energy gain, and 100% energy, or stamina consumption rather, one-handed weapon. We have another enemy up here with the fire starter. Let's go deal with him. Tell you what, why don't we go for the body? Hopefully can stop him before he gets that Molotov off. There's a good deflection, and there's a dismemberment. Perfect. We're also getting our tech scrap bonus going up. I believe we're at 1.3 right now. Then over here in these corpses, we get the key card for the JCPD main entryway, which allows us to open this door. Now I'm not going to go this way. Whoop. Never knew that that door could actually lift you, but this would bring us back to the arena where we fought Warden Garcia. Just one way back of going to the police station. Now I'm going to be running past a couple of things here, but up here on the Riverside Street, the Port Nixon exit, we have a couple of very tough guards, and we're not going to go to Port Nixon just yet. Luckily, these guards give you a little bit of a chance, because as you start to approach, they tell you to leave, and as long as you do so, they're going to leave you alone. Now we do have another implant on top of these shipping containers, but if I use my drone module, the scan module, it tells me exactly what it is, and it's a directional block analyzer, which I already have and I'm even already using. But if we get it, we won't get another implant, but we will get some upgrade materials for the implant. In order to jump, if you haven't figured that out already, you start sprinting and then clicking the left analog stick by default. There it is. That became an implant circuitry Mark 1, good for upgrading. But now we want to find a way to get to that scrap right there in the shipping container. There is a broken bit of the rail here that allows you to drop down. And you can come over this way. And as we come up here, inside the shipping container, there's a small pile of scrap, and we can open up these doors, which allows just for a little bit, it's not so much a shortcut, but just an alternate route. But there is a loot box that's right here, and if I just walk over to the scaffolding, I can pick it up, but we only get a pile of metal scrap that's only worth 250. And as long as you jump right at the very last second, you can make that jump. If you happen to not jump, just understand that will be an instant death, and that death will mean you have a limited time to get back to your dropped scrap. You have 2.5 minutes by default. For every enemy you kill though, you get an extra 20 seconds on that counter, so you should have plenty of time as long as you take it slow and kill every enemy in order to get back to that scrap. So that's the way back to the med station. We cannot go this way just yet. On this bridge, we have a somewhat difficult enemy. So tell you what, I am going to start with my laser pistol. Get a few shots on his arm there. And hopefully, get a directional block there, focusing on his arm because I really do want those weapons. And I did not have enough stamina time to back up. Just going to use my metavoltaic just because. I was waiting for an attack there. Attack that did not come right away. Wait for the combo to wear out. Back up. Back up again. That's alright. I will rinse and repeat as much as I have to take him out. Hoping for an interruption here. There it is. So the red bar is of course their health. The bottom bar is their stability. Once you knock that bar all the way down, that means they are going to be stunned for just a brief time, and then it'll reset, just like it has. Should be getting the cut here in a moment. There it is. And let's go in for that dismemberment. By getting the arm cut, we do get a new schematic for the Vulture arm gear. And then we also get his weapon, the bootleg split cleaver. This is a brand new weapon type for the Surge 2. It is double duty. It has 93 damage, 16 impact, 100% attack speed, 45% energy gain, and 145% stamina consumption cost. But the way that this works, and we are going to get a tutorial here in just a moment. You can see there, let me use some metavoltaics. But this can function as a weapon, just like you see here, like an axe. But if we continue to mash the attack buttons, either the horizontal or the vertical, it will split in two and allow us to attack very rapidly. So here's some normal attacks. There's a horizontal. Here is a vertical. But here is a flourish of horizontal attack. I absolutely adore the moveset of this weapon. Similarly, just with the vertical attacks, very cool combination. Really versatile weapons. But we also got the Vulture schematic, and a partial bonus on the Vulture set gives you increased tech scrap for kills, and the full 6-piece set removes the battery cost of finishing moves. So if you're someone who finds him or herself struggling with energy to get those dismemberments, well, maybe that set bonus is for you. We do have an item directly below us that our drone would tell us about, but in the canal back alleys, first we can jump through these boxes. And then inside this box, we do have a large pile of metal scrap worth 1,000. As we continue to climb these all the way to the top, we get the Omni Cell Clip. This implant, it is an 8 CP implant. That is core power, by the way. It gives you an extra 5 to your Omni Cell, which is really good for some of the later drone modules that take more than one. But for this early game, not really worth it. Inside this broken down building, we do have another magnetic lock that requires the Starfish drone module, so nothing we can do just yet. But we can open this door thanks to our exo rig. And inside we can see a number of enemies. In fact, I can take this one out pretty quickly just with my drone. Beautiful. I got some Omni Cells. It's interesting, as you kill enemies with your drone, you'll occasionally find Omni Cells that drop even, not on the corpses themselves, but right by your feet. We do have an enemy right down here. I'm just going to do a drop attack. That is an attack from height, and you just plunge and attack at the same time. And here we have a physical aggression redirector. This is a rather intriguing implant. It takes 3 core power in order to use, but it means that whatever limb or body part you're targeting, your attacks will always hit that, even if it should have hit something else. In other words, as long as you're targeting the head, every attack will hit the head. But if that attack should have hit something else like the legs or the arms or the chest, you'll take a 25% penalty and only do 75% of your normal damage, but it's really good if you're trying to focus on specific body parts when it comes to farming. Some more enemies in and around this area, but we're not going to worry about them just yet. In this box, we have another small pile of metal scrap. Oh, we do have this flame enemy here. So we need to be careful. We're actually on fire right now, which is a shame. And we're taking needless damage here. There's a good deflection, which is good because I need it. Back up, because I need to generate some energy so I can use my metavoltaic. And at this point, right now, I'm just going to worry about survival. There we are. I just wanted him dead for the time being, but you can see where we are. There's the canal bridge. We took this right over here, so now we're kind of at the beginning of that stage yet again. Nothing down in that section at this moment. Here, no enemies, but we do have a small pile of scrap. We got some Omni cells from that kill. Over here, we'll get some more Omni cells. And we do have this enemy here talking about the directional parry. I want to go for the head, I think, this time. So there's a good directional parry. And let's back up. Let him do all of his combo. Let's just tear his head off. And now here we have some nanites. This is not an echo. For an echo to be an echo, there would be a lot bigger cloud of nanites, but this, as you can see, as soon as I walk into it, I start to take that nanite buildup, and if I allow it to go full, then I'm going to take some pretty significant damage. No key card for this door just yet. I am going to use my metavoltaic just to heal up a little. And now it's time to go up these stairs. So that's where we came from, that's where we dropped down. Inside here we have another enemy, but not before we pick up another small pile of scrap. I think we'll go for the arm this time. Taking some damage there because I missed that block altogether. Let's let him do a big combo. And let's try to go a little bit nuts with our attacks, but we are hurting for stamina. It does take a lot with this weapon. Okay, back up. And let's see if we can get the cut. There it is. And we get an arm coil, some tungsten alloy, and some more Omni cells. Fortunately for me down here, I am going to get a free battery, which means I'm going to use that on my metavoltaic. I'm going to jump by sprinting, clicking on that analog stick, just so I can get some more metal scrap. There is a mag lift here, but I don't need it. I can drop down without taking any fall damage. And this, once again, teaching us how to do a backstab. If I wanted, I could just go right back to the shortcut, but there's another implant that I want. Yeah, let's go for the leg this time. Huge damage there. In fact, I'm not even going to get enough energy in order to get the cut. Actually, I did, because I did that dash attack, which does do some less damage. Sprint over the water here. And we get ourselves the battery adrenalizer implant. The battery adrenalizer implant costs 5 CP in order to equip, and it gives you a 30% stamina regeneration boost after a battery is filled. Hopping back just for safety, you can actually make the jump over there, but there's some toxic sludge on the ground we don't want to be standing in. And before we jump into that mag lift, we do have an audio log.
Hey, that looks like a great shortcut. Yo, I thought we slipped and they got and dragged us away to wherever. Come on, I don't see anyone who's been dragged away. It's safe to me. Let's go.
Just talking about some secret passages. Over here we have some more scrap. We have some more enemies that way. We don't want to take them on just yet, but we do have a new NPC, aptly named Man.
Goddamn AID goon said I caught the virus. Bullshit. But they'll see. I'm far too sneaky to get caught. Bit of advice, because I like you. Upgrade your shiny stuff and you'll lead a longer, more productive life. I even know a secret path. It's right through that gap between the buildings. I mean, you could also sneak through one of them scanner gates on the road to Babylon Gardens, but why would you? Seaside Court is the place to be. I ought to know. Easy for you to say.
So he's just giving us some ideas on where we might find some shortcuts, but right over here, pretty obvious. There's a shortcut. That'll lead us right back to the medbay, but there's some more gear to get before we wrap up by heading up topside. There's the mag lift. We have an item right there. In fact, if we use our drone module, searching for loot, it'll tell us that this is the W102 banner drone module. This allows us to place a drone in another world. In other words, it is a copy of us somewhere hidden in another player's world, and it's kind of like a bit of hide and seek. In fact, this is probably a good time to talk about the different drone modules for online play, so to speak. The drone module works by placing a banner somewhere in my world for other players in their world to find. It lasts for 60 minutes, and if no players find it, I can find myself 5,000 tech scrap richer. But if some players find it but not too many, I'm going to get a lesser amount. Any player that finds my banner, or if I find another player's banner, then I will get 250 tech scrap just for finding it. Now the graffiti tags that we've been seeing all over the place, those can be helpful. You can put them down in order to show people some secrets or to give them some hints on what enemies might lay ahead. But until we get the drone module, which is a little bit further that way, we're not going to be able to do that just yet. There is a rating system for the graffiti tags, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything at this time. Lastly, there are revenge enemies. Enemies that have killed other players in their worlds could be presented as revenge enemies in our world. Those enemies are stronger, they hit harder, they have more health, but upon killing you get a lot more loot. Typically, you get some of every upgrade material for your armor and weapons. Definitely worth it if at all possible. Right down there, that is where the toxic module implant will be. We don't want to drop down just yet. And look at that, a banner just appeared. That works for me. So Hospital Boy, so sorry to ruin your day, but I'm going to collect my 250 scrap. I don't have my exo line available, so nothing that we can do here. But inside this building, we do have a mag lift. This mag lift is just one more way that we can get back to the medbay station because it's right in there. There's the back alley. But we can again sneak past this lift in order to find nothing. Absolutely nothing. But this is a great place to put a banner. In fact, I think I will do just that. So let's use my banner. And there it is. Good luck. I only know that that's a great place to put a banner though because I already found one myself. So heading back into Riverside Street, just dropping down carefully, and there is the toxic filter. This implant costs 4 core power in order to equip, and it gives us plus 200 to our poison or toxic resist, which poison and toxic in this game is a buildup. Once it procs, then we'll take damage over time, and that will help us to reduce that buildup. I do apologize though, I forgot one loot box, and that is back through this shortcut again. And instead of going up the ramp, you just go around it. And inside this loot box, we get another large pile worth 1,000. And in fact, that's what this graffiti tag, thank you Captain Power, is trying to tell me. Now, I believe after this session, I will be playing offline for the sheer purpose of sometimes the graffiti gets to be a bit much because it is just so prolific. And even though the revenge enemies are a great way to farm, I just don't know that I want to see graffiti all over the place in my world. Now, before we wrap up, let's spend a little bit of tech scrap. You can see I have 4,100 saved up, bringing my total up to well over 6,000. And I think at this point, instead of leveling up, I'm going to see if I can craft some of the scavenger body. I'm going to start with the head. Then I want to make the body. Let's see if I have enough to make 2 arms. I don't have enough for 2 arms, but I will make 1. And then as far as legs, I do have enough for 2 of those. So we'll be playing around with those in the next episode. And then the rest, I am just going to spend my leveling up. You can see you can just hold in the X. It'll go as quickly as possible. And there we are, level 19 with 14 module points available. I'm going to bump up my battery efficiency to nearly 150. My stamina, because I want to use this new weapon that costs a lot of stamina, I am going to spend a good bit into that and keep my health where it is. And there we have it. You can see a banner has appeared from another player, but again, in the next session, I believe that we'll be playing offline. I will choose some armor to wear in the next episode, but for now, that is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in the Surge 2. I hope you learned something. If you did, leave me a comment below and let me know what you learned. And if I missed something, or if there's any other tips and tricks you want to share with me, put that in the comments as well so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.